Now we're going to have a youth leadership on organizing and advocacy panel where you'll get to hear from some student leaders. I first would like to introduce Mia Perales. Mia is a student at UNL majoring in environmental engineering and minoring in political science. She served as an executive board member for Students for Sustainability, a student-run multi-high school sustainability organization in Omaha. And for 2 years, and this summer she went to Washington, D.C. to lobby U.S. senators for clean energy. In 2023, she was awarded the Earth Day Friend of the Environment Youth Award for her success in implementing composting in her high school, a school of over 3,000 students and faculty, and this initiative is on track to divert 54,000 pounds of waste from the landfill per year. And joining us on Zoom is Abby Schroeder, right there on the bottom. So Abby is a senior at UNL, majoring in environmental and sustainability studies and communication studies. And this summer she interned with Conservation Nebraska and Project Energy Nebraska to work on local environmental issues. Her goal is to work in the environmental and sustainability field, focusing on advocacy, policy, and social justice. And then Carissa Englert, she's on Zoom on the top. So Carissa Englert graduated from Nebraska Wesleyan University with a major in communication and a minor in political science. And as a student, she was the president of the Greenhouse Project, the environmental organization at Wesleyan. And her previous environmental job experiences consists of being an AmeriCorps member with Conservation Nebraska and being an intern with Nebraska Interfaith Power and Light. In the later position, she helped to coordinate the 2022 Youth Climate Summit. And throughout these experiences, she's appreciated being able to connect with and learn more from those in the community regarding various environmental topics. So we can get started. So the format of this panel is I'll be asking them all the same question, and they'll just give you their answer. So to start off, I'll start with Mia. Our first question is going to be, what prompted you to get involved in climate activism, and how old were you?
Oh no? Okay. Um, Growing up, I grew up in South Omaha, which if you're familiar with the Omaha area, South Omaha is a predominantly Hispanic and immigrant community, and that is where our meat packing plant is. And so there's a lot of pollution that comes with that plant, and a lot of health conditions, and a lot of asthma rates, as well as somebody else mentioned North Omaha, which is a lot of African American population that also has health problems and asthma rates. So from an early age, I really asked myself, why is it that these big polluters are in these communities of colors where our white counterparts don't have these problems? So that's kind of where I started my sustainability journey, is just wondering why are these differences so big in our environments and in our clean air access. And I would say that probably started around when I was, I don't know, like 8, 9 years old. But then I started getting active probably around my eighth grade year. So I think I was probably like 12 or 13 around that age.
Great. I'll move on to the same question for Abby.
So I didn't get involved in climate activism until recently, so it's never too late, just a reminder. But when I started college, I found the environmental and sustainability studies major in community and learned a lot about more about the climate activism side of climate change and environmental issues. And I guess just being around like-minded people and kind of getting more involved opened up a lot of opportunities to get involved. So I guess I was 19 or 20.
Awesome. And Carissa?
Yeah. I think that I was always environmentally minded. Like growing up, I loved spending time in nature. My family and I would go camping a lot and like walk through the forest a lot. So I feel like I always had that connection. And then I feel like I didn't think about what that meant very much until later in high school when I was watching like nature documentaries more and found out just how significant environmental and climate problems are, and that there's really so many solutions. They just need, people to know about them and act on them. So yeah, it was late high school, like 17 or 18, I think. And I did that.
Awesome. I guess moving on to the next question. As a young climate leader, what impact are you most proud of?
The impact that I'm most proud of, I guess I kind of have two right now. One is recently getting composting started at my high school, which was a really big feat because it was not welcomed by the administration at all. I sat outside my principal's desk, her office, for 2 weeks straight because she was ignoring my emails. So it took a lot of push, but we were able to finally get it started. And being able to see that many people that didn't really know about composting before, the students at my school that now learn about it and are educated on it and like want to help with that. Um, and then also 54,000 pounds of waste being diverted from the landfill is amazing. So I think that's really awesome. And then also just being able to get active in the legislature. So not only Nebraska, but also in the federal level. I think that's something that really awesome that we can all do. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a former South High alumni, so when I heard about that, I was super like happy and excited. So thank you. I guess moving on to Abby.
This last spring, I had the opportunity to organize a really cool discussion panel on topic of environment and justice, specifically focusing on food security and insecurity and food sustainability here in Nebraska. And so we got a really cool conversation going with some members of the community, staff, faculty, and some students from UNL. And so that was a really cool way to kind of spread some information and also awareness. And this summer, I had the opportunity to work with the city of Norfolk. As mentioned before, they're very environmentally forward thinking. And I, along with some other students from UNL and the director of the Environmental and Sustainability Studies program, worked to create this integrated waste energy framework to hopefully divert waste from their landfills and kind of create a more circular waste and energy system, looking at new technologies that could potentially turn waste into energy. So that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you for that work. I was really impressed with the project you're working on this summer. I guess Carissa.
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, like, hearing Mia and Abby's experiences, like, those are amazing things that I didn't know you guys, like, played such a big part of. So, like, I feel just super proud of you guys. I'd say the, like, initiative that I've worked on that I've been the most proud of, was when like, students at Wesleyan and I were trying to get our university to divest from fossil fuels. It wasn't a win, unfortunately. As you guys know, universities are really not loving getting called out for like having fossil fuel investments. It was a big uphill battle, but we just like the work that we did together and the passion that we had for it was so inspiring. Like it lit a fire in me that I like had never felt before. So I always come back to that. And also like the people that I worked with, I think like that's what makes me the most proud is just knowing like what we tried to do and that like our, aims were in the right place and we were all like, yeah, had this same collective mission. I'm really proud of that.
Definitely, making those friendships is really important. They really motivate you to go forward. I guess our third question is, who are the people you respect and listen to on climate change?
I would say the people that I have the most respect for are the people that this land originally belongs to. Um, last or 2 summers ago, I got the opportunity to intern at Fontenelle Forest, and I learned a lot about regenerative farming, agriculture. I learned about different techniques like burning forests, for soil growth, and for or for forest growth. Um, and so, geez, just these like kind of like ancient techniques that people before us would use, I think that those are really important. And we have a lot of the solutions already. We just need to go back to them. And also, I would say I like to listen to youth because we are the voice. We are going to be the people that are going to be affected by this in the future the most. A lot of older generations may seem to not care, and that's because they don't have to care for too long. But we will. And I think younger people are creating incredibly amazing, innovative solutions all the time. And the way that we are advocating and rallying for each other is extremely exciting.
Great. Abby?
Yeah, I have to agree with Mia. I think overwhelmingly other young people who are getting out there and getting involved and educating themselves and educating others are um, very much have my respect. And I like to listen to other my peers and also um, my professors at UNL have been very helpful in developing my education around this and raising awareness. And I think it's really important to focus on people who are like minded and kind of can understand all of our issues and who are supportive, especially of young people.
How about you, Carissa?
Yeah, I have found that it's like significantly important and necessary to listen to people who have historically and continue to be like most affected by climate issues, and left out of the conversations, like people of color, women, non-binary people, lower income people, and young people, um, like you guys mentioned. And I think an important aspect of this is like the systems that created these problems are not going to be the ones to solve them. So it's these people that have been like systemically left out, that can kind of bring a different perspective and, yeah, broaden the board, I guess, on like how we can address these issues. So I think that's really important.
Thank you. And I guess fourth question, how do you manage being both a climate leader and a student? I know it's really difficult being a student on its own. You have your classwork and then extracurriculars. Do you have any tips on avoiding burnout?
I think the biggest tip that I can give is just realizing that no matter what you do, if you put 110% of your energy into creating climate solutions, you will never personally be able to stop climate change on your own. It's a group initiative, and if you aren't taking care of yourself, then you can't take care of others, and you can't take care of the planet. So it's just balancing your time out, realizing that yes, the Earth needs everything that we can do, but it's impossible for you to take on everything at once. So I think just having balance in your life is key to avoiding burnout and doing well as a student and also as a climate advocate.
Agreed. Abby?
Yeah, I think it's important to be aware of your own limits and when it's maybe time to take a step back and kind of focus on your own health and your own priorities. Like was mentioned, you can't solve this problem alone, none of us can. And so it's important that we are able to support each other and also recognize when we need to maybe take a step back or um, help kind of rely on others. So I think um, yeah, having awareness of yourself and your own limits and um, recognition that you're not alone and that there's a lot of other people and you don't need to shoulder everything.
Definitely. How about you, Carissa?
Yeah, I definitely want to echo what Abby and Mia have said. It's, not a solo journey, like just recognizing that the people who are around you who, feel the same feelings that you do, feel the same amount of stress, about these issues, like we're all going through the same thing, and yeah, you can't take it on alone. And there's so much importance in taking time for yourself. I know that we always say that, but it's another thing to like actually do it. So it's hard to draw those boundaries. It's like so much easier said than done, but the boundaries that you draw for yourself now will help you continue to do that later on when it may be more necessary. I mean, it's really necessary now too, but yeah, I think just setting yourself up for success and others for success is taking that time for yourself. Um, yeah, that's what I would say.
And for our final question, what advice would you give to youth looking to get involved in climate change?
I would definitely say you never grow in your comfort zone. And what I mean by that is the first time I ever went to, I guess, any like climate event, a girl from my middle school posted about a climate strike that was going on. I didn't have anybody to go with, so I made my dad drop me off because I was a sophomore, so I didn't drive. And I went to this climate strike, and I met some people, and then I got involved with this group, Students for Sustainability. If you live in Omaha, you might know what it is. Um, and so I got involved, and then from there I was able to make connections, and then I was able to build professional connections and work with different organizations, and then get involved in other ways. So I think just push yourself out of your comfort zone, because I know for me at first I didn't have anybody to go to climate strikes with me, or to go to different panels, or to go to different events, so I would go by myself. And through that, I was able to meet a lot of really great people and then have other people go with me. And so I think that's a really great way to get involved, is to just go to things. Even showing up here today, that's a really great step. So yeah.
Thank you. Abby?
Yeah, I just wanted to I had a I wanted to echo Mia's thoughts on that. I think just being involved, being open to saying yes to things, and like Mia said, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and also surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, which I think does come from pushing your comfort zone. But yeah, even just being here today, you've got a whole bunch of people around you who are also looking to get involved and be open, and connecting with other people, I think, is really important in staying involved, getting involved, and making connections, making a difference.
Carissa?
Yeah. Um, it's so nice that like we're all here today. I know that we all have these big goals that we want to achieve, but it's, it can be a little overwhelming at times to look at these big goals. So it's nice to remember like change happens little by little. So it's like that first step that Mia was talking about, like attending an event like this. And then that connects you to maybe one more person who can connect you to another event or opportunity, and it just goes from there. So you may not be able to see how you can like go about, achieving your goals, but it will take care of itself if you just um yeah, give yourself little pushes like that. And definitely spending time with people who make you feel seen and understood, especially with all the feelings that we have around like climate anxiety and everything. It's nice to be able to have people who, yeah, feel the same way. Spending time in nature is huge. I feel like as someone who like is such a big environmentalist, I am guilty of not like being mindful of spending enough time in nature. So I think that's something that's good to remember, that it can really heal us in ways that we don't even know. And then just being mindful of the time. Um, we know that it passes fast, like everyone will tell you that, but it really it really does. So just try to live in the present moment, even though it's stressful, and like I said, so much easier said than done, but it's just good to remember like these are the good times. These are like times that we'll look back on and appreciate ourselves and the people around us. So it's nice to slow down in that way.
Definitely. I still remember when I was a student. I'm really glad I got to meet the people I did. They really made the experience worth it. And that was our last question for the panel. I'll open it up for questions from the audience. I'll pass around the mic if you have any.
Hi, I'm just curious, why do you think that it's important for students to attend the Nebraska Youth Climate Summit?
I can go. I think that this is a really great event because you get to learn from so many new perspectives and being able to be surrounded by so many professionals to see their work and to see what they're doing, to see growth for, your future if you want to go down those types of career paths. Or even if you just want to get inspired by what they're doing. I think it's great and I feel like I've learned so much as is. Last year I attended this event and it was really amazing and I built some really great connections. So I think that's a great way or a great reason to be here is to build connections and to learn.
Does Abby or Carissa want to answer that question?
Well, just as Mia was talking, it came to mind I remember her being a student at the youth summit last year, and now look, she's sitting on the front of the room answering questions. So it's like that truly could be anyone. If you just take those steps to get involved in little ways, like it can add up to be a lot, and it can be inspiring to other people. It's like it may feel normal to you, but it's really cool to just be able to actually talk with other people. It feels a bit abstract, sometimes you're like, well, I can't see these people doing things like who in my community is actually working on this. So it's like there aren't many opportunities to have a bunch of people from, the same place who are working on the same thing as you are in one room. So I think it's really nice to see that.
Abby, are you good?
Yeah, no, I think Carissa and Mia did an excellent job of kind of putting into words my thoughts exactly. So,
Awesome.
Hi, I have a question. As a student, do you find it hard not to be wasteful? Especially for me, I get a lot of paper in my classes, and I feel bad throwing it away or recycling it because it's still paper. But at the same time, I can't risk my education, especially when it comes to like pencils or buying new school supplies. How do you balance that with being eco-friendly and being a student?
Um, I guess my first thought is like when I first was a student, I had a really big, like most of my environmental attention was focused on like individual actions, which is like it's great to be thinking about, like the materials that you use, obviously that's like very important. But once you start to learn a little bit more about how you can like connect with other people and advocate for like larger changes, it kind of takes away that pressure that you put on yourself to be perfect. You can't be perfect. Yeah, like you said, you're a student, you have to have certain materials. So it's like, yeah, not feeling bad about that, but knowing that you're doing other things in other ways that make up for that.
Mia or Abby, do you have anything to say on that?
I think this is something that I definitely struggle with now just because, living at home, it's a lot easier to be more sustainable and to like even cook more sustainably. Um, I can't compost here. I mean, I guess I could possibly, but it's a lot different when you live in a dorm, and so your waste is treated differently. Um, but I would just say like at some point you have to realize there's only so much you can do. There are like little things you can do, like using a reusable water bottle or making sure you're not wasting food when you go to the dining hall. But um, I think overall, every effort that you can do is its best, and there's so much more on a greater scale that could be done. So I feel like sometimes you just have to shift your perspective a little bit.
yeah, I think like we were saying earlier, no one person is going to be able to solve this issue. Also, no one person is going to cause the entire issue. Like again, there's only so much that you can do, but it's not the end of the world if you have a bunch of paper that you need to, a bunch of single use paper. I think just remembering one person can't do it all, which I think goes both ways. You can't solve all the problems, but you're also not the one causing all the problems. So I think trying to take control back in the little ways that you can, like recycling reusable water bottles, walking, biking, things like that. Just, I think it gives you a little bit of feeling of control back.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay.
Hi. Okay. So I know I was formerly a student a couple of years ago, and I am a youth, and I get a lot of pushback when it comes to telling people about climate change and environmental things from my family and from my friends who don't really want to take responsibility. How do you navigate that?
I would say for me, the biggest way that I kind of deal with pushback from taking responsibility for your climate actions, I guess, is to give people real examples, to show them, like, you know, this is where your waste is going. This single use product that maybe you used is going to end up in the landfill forever. Or even seeing people litter sometimes, that is my biggest pet peeve. And so just kind of like showing people what happens after the fact that you throw something away, I think that's a big thing. Also, just the real impact that legislation has on us. So, I know like this year there was a study that was proposed that would look at the benefits of coal and the non-benefits of like renewable energies, which is like a completely bogus study. And so like a lot of senators were trying to get it passed without anybody realizing it. It was going to be one of those things that was just swept under the rug. And so luckily we were able to do something about it and get it not passed. So I think just showing people that, like, yes, your vote matters, you being active in your community and um, like in policy is really important. So I think that those are great ways to show people.
I think that it's also important to realize that not everybody is going to, you're not going to be able to convince everybody of, I don't know, that they should care about an issue, but I do think it is important to recognize like who you're talking to, who your audience is, and maybe if you want to shift um, your response, kind of taking into account, like for example, Nebraska is a predominantly agricultural state, and so if you maybe want to if putting your answer in terms of things that would affect them, like how climate change is going to affect crop yields or weather patterns, things like that. I think it's important to remember that everyone has different experiences and backgrounds, and trying to, I mean, climate change is going to affect everyone, and just maybe emphasizing how specifically that could affect someone um, might be able to help deal with that pushback that you might get. But otherwise, yeah, just you're not going to be able to please everyone, and um, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely relate to the issue of like having conflict between like family about like, you care so much about something and you just think like, oh my gosh, if I just tell these other people like what they can do, they'll care and like sometimes it just doesn't work out like that, unfortunately. But I think, I don't know, this might be getting a little theoretical, but I think it's like reflective of a larger issue of people just feeling disconnected from like us as a larger group and community. Like people are so focused on their individual lives that they forget like how intertwined we all are to each other and to the planet. So I think just like calling people back to that in whatever way you can, gently, you know, it's nice to just remind people like, well, you may think this, but you actually, your actions do have larger effect on other people. Like they don't just affect you. Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely not someone to have a perfect answer for that. Like I said, I've struggled with that, but I think what Abby said is good, like making the larger, I guess sometimes more abstract issues feel more personal. Even though again that's going back to that individual scale, but I don't know, whatever you think you can do. Just gently inviting people to have like a conversation is really the best you can do.